Welcome back to our final episode of the Between Two Worlds podcast.
Oh my gosh.
One of your hosts. My name is Lovely, and across the table from me is Romy.
It's me. I can't believe it, We're already at the end.
I know. It has been so awesome being able to chat with a really incredible group of people about being Asian, about mental health. I think two things that as Asian young people, we probably don't talk about a lot outside of maybe our personal spaces. So it's been such a huge privilege. So just another huge thank you to our guests. You guys were incredible. We learned so much, and we really hope that everyone listening has learned something or felt seen or heard by any of the episodes.
Or even had a few laughs, because we've definitely had a few laughs along the way as well.
More than a few laughs, absolutely.
Yeah. And big thank you again to Asian Family Services for supporting this work. It's been so fantastic to be supported by an organisation that really encourages us to create content, to have conversations that are relatable for the experiences of 1.5 and second generation New Zealanders, Asian New Zealanders like us. So thank you again. And just to remind you, the reason why this podcast project came to life was as part of our suicide prevention, health promotion work that we do at Asian Family Services. The lovely folks there saw a need for conversations around mental health and cultural identity as being a huge part of wellbeing, particularly for 1.5 and second generation New Zealanders, and noticing that actually cultural identity and cultural well-being were a huge part of what made up people's mental health as well. So really cool to be working with an organisation like that,
Yes, we are super thankful. So yeah, thanks again to Asian Family Services for supporting us to do this bit of mahi. So Romy, how did you find hosting a podcast?
Well, can't say I've ever done anything like this before. Luckily for me, I quite often describe my job as being I get paid to talk. So I reckon I'm pretty decent at talking. So I had fun and I particularly enjoyed getting to know some of our guests that I hadn't quite had the opportunity to have these conversations with before. What about you? How did you find hosting a podcast?
Yeah, I mean, like Romy, I've never done anything like this before. I've been a guest on a couple of other podcasts, but it was awesome. I think it was cool to, often in my line of work as a researcher, I do get to ask follow-up questions, but I don't tend to relate my own experience into that. So I think it was cool to just be a bit more conversational about some of these things that maybe I have talked about before, but in a different way. So it's been definitely a huge privilege. Yeah, it's been really awesome.
I think there was a big theme around just lived experience as a tool for community and relating. That's what I want to say. Yeah, pretty cool that we got to actually have those conversations with people.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of conversation around Asians being different and how we all need to be recognized for all of our different strengths and uniqueness. But actually, I think throughout these conversations, there's also quite a few similarities between our experiences as migrants, whether we were born here, whether we moved here at a young age, or even for those who have maybe one or two generations removed where their parents were born here. There's still some similarities in the way that we experience being here in Aotearoa.
I found it really easy to interview the guests that we had on as well, because despite them, being people that we knew well and also people that we didn't know so well, there was real common understanding, unspoken understanding around that experience of growing up here and doing life here and having those questions around cultural identity and those conflicting kind of thoughts as well.
Yeah, and just like maybe not feeling enough of either culture and maybe coming to a space where you feel like you could take on both cultures or multiple cultures, actually, not just two, which I think has been really awesome and hopefully really validating for those who have been listening.
Yeah, and the other thing that I picked up is, wow, the connection between cultural identity and mental well-being was huge.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's delve into some of those podcasts, and think about how we went. So, all right, so let's talk about some of the guests that we had on this season and reflect back on some of those conversations that we've had. So, how did you find chatting with Starsha and hearing more about her story?
I thought it was really cool to hear about, I guess, her year.
Yeah, I love
her
that
year. I love that she named it. She named it. She owned it. And I think for me, her journey of asking people for help was super awesome to hear as maybe we don't usually talk about asking for help. And when we do, often it's actually in a negative experience, like asking for help and not getting it. So it's nice to hear that some people, when they do ask for help, they are able to receive it. And that's really awesome. And how about you? How did you find Chris's podcast? What did you get out of that one?
So I didn't even know what a poet I can't even say it properly. Poet laureate was when I when Chris was floated as a guest. I loved hearing Chris's story because I'm someone who's very far away from the creative world and the creative industries, and what I really related to Chris on was how he uses his medium to advocate for the issues that are important for him, to express himself in the different parts of his identity. I really relate to that because I use my medium, which is talking, which is being an advocate in the mental health space, and to see that he could do exactly that, the same thing, but just with in a different kind of world was pretty cool. I mean, we had Jessie on as well, who's had a very interesting life. She's done a lot of traveling around the world. She's lived in a whole heap of different places. How did you feel like the conversation with Jessie went?
I thought it was, I mean, all of them were really insightful. And I think what was really interesting about Jessie was hearing her reflections of actually sort of finding that otherness, not necessarily here in Aotearoa, but when she was over doing her super yacht shenanigans. Just being able to metabolize all of that. So it's been really, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I related a lot to Jessie as well, talking about the experience of being a Korean New Zealander, growing up in, in the North Shore of Auckland in that Forest Hill area where there's lots of Koreans, and just our experiences around how we feel towards Korean things now as adults as well was, I felt really seen having that conversation, which was nice. I know you and Shannon are friends outside of this world as well. Did you learn anything different about Shan, talking to her in this space?
I think it reiterated for me the importance of community care and Shan is someone who does it really well. But I think being able to hear how important it is to be able to be well ourselves so that we can be well in community. But also when we're not feeling well, how we can rely on community to kind of support us, I think was really insightful for me, and maybe not necessarily something new that I learnt, but something that was really a nice reminder for me. And then we had Neil, who works for you. Did you learn anything about him in his podcast episode?
Yeah, Neil is... We love Neil. We love our Neil. He's an awesome dude. I see Neil in a work context, and which is cool because we're all at work because we love working in youth mental health and supporting the young people that we support. But sitting down with Neil, I felt like I got to get a little bit more of an understanding about why he cares so much about youth mental health and why he's dedicated his career to youth mental health. Neil's a good time. Neil's one of those ones who gets on with everyone, and no one doesn't like Neil because he's just great to get along with. So it was quite cool to hear some parts of his story as well. Did you find that listening to another Filipino young person tell their story it hit some different angles that we maybe didn't hit with some other guests for you?
I think it was interesting and probably relates to maybe what we'll talk about when we chat about what we learned from Mike, but I don't tend to talk to Filipino males who aren't related to me, just kind of
interesting
in general.
Okay.
But that's a topic for another time. It's just for the Filipino males I do know, mental health isn't usually something that comes up in conversation. And so I think it was really cool to talk to, and there's a lot of kind of toxic there can be in that space, and so I think it was really cool to listen to someone who just kind of owned their stuff. So shout out Neil.
My absolute highlight from talking to Neil was around the fish oils.
So we love fish oil.
If y'all don't remember, Lovely told us an amazing story of one of her aunties suggesting fish oil as a cure for mental health.
And that might be my new business moving forward. No, I'm kidding. I don't think I could sell fish oil.
Fish oils for depresso.
for the sad teen. Yes. And
terrible.
And kind of we maybe already talked about it a little bit, but we both know Mike in kind of a professional capacity.
Yes,
but
we love Mike.
We do love Mike. What did we learn about? Did we learn more about Mike? What did you get out of our conversation with him?
Mike he's a fantastic dude. We are big fans of Mike here on the show. seriously, I kid you not, he was here in a sling. He's just literally broke his shoulder the other week. I couldn't believe that he showed up and still did it, eh?
Me too. The dedication. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, and he was just here smiling, chatting with us. Mike is an open book, and I think that's so valuable because he's had a variety of lived experiences.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely see why he does the work that he does in the community these days and just how much that impacts the rangatahi that he works with. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Mike. We need more people like Mike in this world and all of our other guests as well. But yeah, that was super cool.
Yes, super awesome. And I guess as we kind of close up what has been a really awesome and insightful season, what are you worked in the lived experience space, and that's something that you spend a lot of time potentially thinking about. What did listening to these stories highlight around the importance of lived experience work for you?
Every single one of the guests that we had on were super articulate and being able to tell us about how they experienced challenges in their life, how they worked through those challenges, and how they used the taonga or the experiences or the lessons or sort of the gold that they gathered along that way to help other people. That was, huge for me, right? All of these people are helping people in different ways. We had a couple of people on this season who do work in mental health, but people are helping people in different ways, and there is something absolutely unique around the experience of being a 1.5 and second generation Asian New Zealander and just how they use that taonga to make a positive impact on the community, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, super awesome. And I think as well, being able to use their life experience to, I think if I reflect back on, we asked every guest this question, and I'm going to be a bit cheeky and I'm going to ask it to you, and then you can ask it to me back, but you don't have to. What advice would you give younger Romy around this list after listening to these different stories? What would you tell younger Romy?
If I think about the experience that younger Romy was having, there was a lot of unanswered questions, and I often didn't feel like I could go to anyone or anywhere to answer those questions. So what I would say to younger Romy is that you don't have to have the answer and that it will be okay. Just keep walking forward, keep walking through, keep doing the right thing one day at a time, and you will be okay. Yeah, I think that's what I would say because, lots and lots of one day at a times later, I look at my life and where I am today and I feel super okay. I feel great, actually.
Awesome.
So that's I feel proud of younger me for walking through the hard times to get here. What about you? What would you say to younger Lovely?
I was a pretty lonely teenager, and so I think what I would tell, and often quite white environments, which is something a few of the different guests talked about, which I really resonated with. I think I would just tell younger Lovely that she's not alone, and that her experiences, while sometimes we think we are the center of our universes, and some stuff that I went through was really hard, and also you're not alone often in those experiences, and there will be a season in your life where you'll get to talk about them and be validated by others who have experienced maybe not exactly the same thing, but something similar. And I think kind of like you said, you're going to be okay. Looking back on, 16-year-old Lovely, I think would be pretty stoked as to where she is now, and was probably pretty thankful that she stuck along for the ride.
Yeah, hard out.
Yeah.
Hard out. So we've come to the end of season 1, I guess. Or the first season, or the only season.
We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. Would you be keen to do another season, Lovely?
Yeah, I think I'll miss this. I'll miss Romy getting annoyed at me for always having Do Not Disturb on, so she never contacts me.
Honestly, Jesus Christ. She has her phone on Do Not Disturb, just 24/7 basically.
Well, because I don't like to be disturbed. That's the whole point.
And then so she'll message me something that's worthy of me giving her a call, or she'll say something like, "Are you free to talk?" And I'll call her, boom, straight to voicemail.
Sorry. How about you? Do you reckon we could do another one of these if we were allowed?
I think so as well. I think it's going to be a matter of, seeing what's happening out there, what kind of resources are available out there for us to, either sustain or not sustain the Beyond Two Worlds. So if we were to do another series, and let's say we had infinite resource.
Ooh.
Yep. So put your thinking cap on. Who would be some dream guests for you to interview?
Do they have to be Asian New Zealander? Because that really is limiting. As many amazing Asian New Zealanders we have out there.
I will give you 2 choices. One is a stunning Asian New Zealander that we could have these conversations that we've been having on Between Two Worlds, and one can be just a complete rando.
Why is the first guy that comes to mind? Is his name Henry Golding, the really hot guy from Crazy Rich Asians?
the hair slick back guy?
Yeah.
Wait, his last name's Golding?
Yeah,
Where'd
I
that
think
come
so.
from?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I would want to know.
Interesting.
In the podcast. No, I don't
Okay.
know. That was the first one that came to mind, but probably not the best one.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have any ideas?
I would like to get, do you know Jenny Saw from TVNZ?
Yes.
Yeah, so she is, well, Jenny's actually my gym buddy. Well, kind of and kind of, I don't know. Jenny might say she's not my gym buddy, but she's a lovely person and has so much experience in media and has a really interesting journey in her career through media as well. I think she'd be awesome to hear.
Why am I Googling Asian New Zealanders?
I think my non-Asian New Zealander would be, I've currently got a crush on Central C, so I'm going to choose Central C.
Who's that? I'm
Oh,
Googling that
bruh,
too.
Central C. How can I be homophobic?
Oh.
No?
Oh, that. Yes, I know that song. Sorry.
I sound so old. Oh my God.
A really cool Asian New Zealander I'd love to have. She also is a part of our ethnic advisory board. Is Janine. Janine has
Knock.
such a cool story.
We love Janine.
She's actually like in the process of writing a children's book around like emotional regulation. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. But she's writing a book for South Asian young people, like kids, and she's just super awesome. And I'd love to hear more about her story.
I love Janine personally. She knows this, so it's not going to be weird. Not going to be weird me saying about it. I used to, Janine and I used to work at the same place, and it would be on these meetings together, our own Teams meetings, and she'd be sharing her screen. And I didn't know. And I just always message her memes like, her last name's Knock, N-O-C-K. So it'd be like, knock, knock. And she's on a meeting with 10 other people and it pops up. Sorry, Janine. Love you. Yes, I'd love to do another season of the podcast if it's possible. We'll just have to figure out whether it is possible, I guess. But it's been really cool creating the Between Two Worlds, not only podcast, but all of the processes as well. So Lovely and I, we came together. We worked with a local designer, Meggy, to do the branding.
Yeah, shout out Meggy, all the beautiful art that you see.
Love it. We love it.
Meggy did. So shout out to Meggy. Shout out to our sound engineer, Alan, for putting all of this shenanigans together and making us probably sound better than we are. And again, just a huge shout out to Asian Family Services for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Right, and we can't forget our main man, Abi, as well.
Thanks,
for
Abi.
keeping us all on track, bringing us family-sized biryani.
We still have half a biryani at home.
Delicious. But, it's been such a informative process and a learning process because none of us have ever done anything close to producing a series of podcasts before. We've done literally everything from coming up to the questions, thinking about how long it should be, how to talk into a mic, how to breathe when you've got a camera in front of you, just how long do we need to record, like all of this kind of stuff we just didn't have any answers to before. So it's been a learning adventure. So hopefully we can get another one at some point.
And also, before we finish, just a final shout out to Movespace for hosting us and being so incredibly kind. Kerry Lee and Karen, thank you heaps for allowing us to use this beautiful space. And for those in Tamaki, it is a really cool community space to rent out. All right, I think that wraps us up for this season. Hopefully you might hear from us again. But until then,
peace out. If you enjoyed it, leave us a comment, leave us a like, review, all of that kind of stuff. Get in touch with us. AsianFamilyServices.nz is the website. You can find out more about us and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, if you're an Asian young person who wants to ever do anything in this space, hit us up. Otherwise, we'll see you hopefully next time.
Goodbye.